Hello, everyone. I'm playing a no limit cash game, 100 max on WPT, Club WPT Gold. I just started playing on this site maybe 2 weeks ago. A couple things about this site. The blinds on this, it's not a small blind, big blind structure. There's a forced straddle on every hand. I think they're doing that just because they want to push the action and make it more fitting for recreational players. All right, so it's another thing too. You can actually click and see the stats of the players, how many hands they've played. I'm gonna go ahead and fold this. For example, this guy here, he's played over 1,600 hands. Voluntary put in the pot 37%, so he's like a little bit on the splashy side, and raises 23%. If you're new to poker, what I mean by splashy is he plays a lot of hands. He probably gambles a lot. This guy 83%, which means he's playing almost every single hand. I think the ranges vary for strong winning players. I'm on the tighter side. Voluntary put in pot 23%. Maybe in the middle, I would say, but I know that there are some winning players that have close to 30%. Also, pre-flop raise percentage usually goes hand in hand with a voluntary put in pot. Mine's at 15%. Kind of surprised by that. I thought it might have been a little bit higher. So first off, you can see pre-flop, there's tons of action on this site. Now, my general strategy, I'm just looking to play very tight and try to exploit the looseness of this game and how crazy it is. I'm not going to get involved with any hand that's speculative. I'm going to make sure I'm drawing to the nuts or pretty close to it. Typically, I always recommend if you're the first in a pot, you should always be raising. I think that you should also always try to re-raise pre-flop whenever you can. If somebody raises into you, unless you're closing the action and you have a drawing hand, a small pocket pair, and a multi-way pot, something like that. I would say with how crazy these games are, if you have like a small or medium pocket pair and you're pretty confident no one's going to re-raise you behind you, and you don't want a three bet because you don't want this guy to come back and blast you off your hand, you can kind of change your strategy. Generally speaking, I believe that, like, say if somebody raises an early position, I got a playable hand. I want to be in a situation where I'm re-raising them pre-flop, putting a lot of pressure on the original raiser. You got to switch it up maybe a tad bit in this type of game. Some other things about Club WPT Gold: you can't multi-table on this site, so they only allow you to play one table at a time, and that includes cash games and tournaments. You can only play if you're in a tournament. That's the only game you can play. You can only have one table open at a time. All right, so just gonna watch and see what these guys do. Three-handed pot. All right. So if you're new to poker, you always want to look at the dynamic of the board and see like what kind of draws. If it's a wet board, that means it's a very draw heavy board. If it's a dry board, that means it's not too draw heavy. So with the 5-6 being connected on the flop, that makes it a little bit more draw heavy than say if the board was King 6-2. Okay, open raises a 6, which I would keep my open raising. Given that there's more money in with the straddle, I usually raise about 2.5 times the big blind. I'd raise it about 3.5 times in this game. I think with a big hand like pocket aces or kings, I may even try to raise it even more than that because of how loose these guys play. You want to get more money in pre-flop, especially against guys that are playing loose and are not going to make the correct decisions against you. All right, so this guy got it all in with a gut shot, hit his gut shot. Okay, now this is a situation. I'm going to be getting a pretty good price to call out of the blinds here. All right, well, so this person went ahead and put in a 3-bet. So I'm obviously going to fold, but if it came around to me, I'd be getting a pretty good price. So this seems like the only player that has similar statistics to me on this table. So I'm kind of curious what's going to happen here. 3-bet and a button got called out a small blind. Curious about what's going to happen here. All right, bets about 40% pot. So river to set. I have a feeling this person had a pretty strong hand. I would have bet that earlier. I already can't recall, but I believe that this was checked on the flop. And she could have also went for value on that turn card against this person in that side pot, because even with that ace out there, check to you. We know that most of these players are raising all sorts of nonsense. All right, so I'm gonna have to put in a raise here, and looks like everyone's gonna call me. I'm gonna have to hit pretty good on this flop. All right, so my stack to pot ratio is already down to about 2. Nobody's going to fold for any type of continuation bet here. So this is just going to be a check fold situation, unfortunately. And basically got one of the best cards I could possibly hit on the turn. Let's see what happens here. Check raise all in. Pretty much effectively all in. Wow. All right, so this, you see, get a really good idea of how crazy these games are. And I'm going to call this, complete this with a suited 8-10 here. Too many people have to act behind me, so I'm not going to throw in the $4. If I was closing the bets and it was $4 to me, let's say if this person called, and I was closing, I'd call with the 8-10. There's just too much reward for hitting a big hand in a game like this. You're going to get paid off for sure. All right, 4-8, even though you're on the button, it's just not strong enough, especially in a game like this. If there was a lot more tighter players, I could consider raising if it got folded to me with 4-8 on the button, but No, I probably wouldn't. That's not really my style, but typically in cash games, I'm on the tighter side. Tournaments, depending on the situation, I'll open up my play. All right, three-handed pot here. Raise in position from the tight aggressive player. Curious how this hand's going to play out. So this person raised any ace X, I'd probably just get away too. I would concede a lot of small pots playing in this type of game to try to win a big pot. I wouldn't get in a situation where I'm trying to call down light or pick anyone off because there's just so much great situations to be in. That reminds me, I'm going to go ahead and top up. I want to make sure I have a full stack if I get into a favorable situation against anybody at this table. All right, so they both made flushes on the river with four clubs on the board. This guy went to value betted his queen high and got called with a jack high flush. In a heads up pot, it's probably not like the worst thing in the world that you'll see. Queen, queen, jack flop. Checks to the button that bets it out. All right. All right, so I'm going to force straddle this hand with a 7-10 suited. All right, so a $3 raise. If it gets to me and there's no other re-raise, I was expecting more people to call. This guy seems to be playing a little bit more on the tighter side. 33% voluntary put in pot. All right. So I flop two pair on a draw heavy board. I'm just going to go ahead and lead this out. Okay. Turn card brings a flush. Also, if could have king queen suited, ace king suited, and just elected to call me. I still got two pair. He bets 13 into a $23 pot. I'm just go ahead and make this call. All right, so I'm gonna probably just be check calling here if he bets it out. Not really happy with the situation, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead and flick it in. Yeah. All right, so this guy was on the just looking at his stats a little bit tighter than everyone else. That's why I was a little bit more reluctant. This guy right here, I mean, I guess there's not a huge difference, but all right. So pocket aces. Now this guy's been splashing around a lot. I'm gonna go ahead and make it. I'm just gonna regular 4x it here. Get heads up with him. Stack the pot ratio. I'd like it to be a lot better than Okay, so I would like in a game like this to get it down to where I have a stack the pot ratio close to like 1.5 to 1 when I get all the money in pre-flop. That way I can ensure I can play for stacks with pocket aces, and not get in a situation where somebody's drawing where we're super deep and I got to make a tough call or a tough play. Just want to try to, especially in this game, I'm not going to be tricky with my pocket aces. All right, so ace 4-5 coordinated board with a flush draw. Bet and a raise. All right, 5-2 on the 5-2 suited on the button. I'm just gonna go ahead and in a game that's gonna be typically multi-handed, multi-way. I'm not gonna in a more tight aggressive game. I might even 3-bet 5-2 suited in position, put some pressure on the original raiser. But given this game, you really got to have a nut advantage and be drawing as much of nuts as possible and make a hand that's going to hold up in a multi-way pot. It's also this effectively most people are just 100 big blinds deep, and this guy's 100 big blinds deep. So if I was playing, say, against this person and they were very loose and I felt comfortable I could get the whole stack with if I made my hand, then that would be a different situation. I'd have much more implied odds in that scenario than it would be with going against this guy who is just 100 deep. All right. So this guy called a river all in with just ace queen high. As you can see, these games are out of control. This is why I stick to the strategy, just playing straight up. I would have raised this a little bit more because there was the post there. I went to about 5, I would guess. All right, checks around on a flop. Now there's a flush that's completed on the turn. That's almost about half pot. Calls. Now the 8 pairs on the river. Let's see, $23 in the pot. All right, that's about half pot. And gets a fold. So I'm guessing this person was probably on a flush draw that just didn't complete at the end. Because given this game, I'm going to be calling people down pretty light. All right, so raise from the cutoff, which is one position to the right of the button if you're new to poker. Gets called from the or the big blind to straddle. Ace 10-4 flop, 2 spades. Continuation bet. Okay. Takes it down to flop. All right. So next hand here, King 9 offsuit. Again, I'm just going to continue to fold. All right, flop comes out, Jack, Jack, 6 with 2 spades. Original raiser checks it. And both of these guys are pretty deep, 150 big blinds effective. All right, so this guy Surprised by that. Gave up pretty easy. All right, 10-9, folding. All right, so I'm probably going to do one more rotation in this video, make this video about a 25-minute video. And just giving you an idea of my strategy and then adjusting my strategy for this game. I am going to change up my strategy. Typically, I used to play 4 tables of 100 max on Global Poker. Around 2017 to 2020, I'd play at those games all the time. And I would have a much different strategy, especially in the 6-handed games. I'd have to play a lot more tight aggressive, a lot more re-raising. But this is going to be a lot more of a bingos type of game where you're just trying to make a big hand. All right, so King Jack suited. This is a great hand, this type of game. A big drawing hand. And looks like I'm going to be closing the betting, which is good. I'm just going to go ahead and check it. All right, so this is going to be an easy board to get away from. Nothing ace high, multi-way, no draw. So I'm just going to be checking and folding. And this hand doesn't change anything. I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I could be ahead with my king high here. It's not going to warrant me calling this situation. I'm only in for $1. Even if he is bluffing, I don't care in this situation. It's just not worth it. All right, 4-10 offsuit. So I don't think that there's a scenario where I'm going to call that. I was kind of just trying to justify in my head if it would just be 50 cents more. So a raise and then a 3-bet and a button. This guy in the blind comes out and calls that 3-bet. Then so you got 4-handed in a 3-bet pot. So $42 in a flop, which is pretty crazy. And this guy bets $70. If I had ace king with no club, I don't mind an overbet like that. I mean, it's just given a scenario, given the type of play, 4-handed. All right, so ace is on the button. I'm just going to go straight to 4. I'd love for like one of these guys to re-raise. Now, these are the 2 biggest stacks, and typically your stack to pot ratio, the more money that you have, it's going to be, you're going to need to improve your hand. All right, so I'll explain that in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and do a standard half pot continuation bet. All right, so I won. So if I had pocket aces and I'm going against somebody with like $40, I can win with just those aces. But the deeper somebody is, the less reluctant they are to get into deep water with just a 1-pair hand. They're going to need to improve to top 2 pair. Even top 2 pair, they're probably still going to manage the pot and try to keep it small when they're that deep. So they're typically only going to get in with like a set, flush, straights, things like that. Pocket aces, unless I hit my set on the flop and improve, it's going to be tough to win 180 off this guy or even 161 off of this guy, just given the stack to pot ratio. I hope I will explain that properly. I kind of have a chart in my head for what hands I think will win based on how many chips this person has. If this guy just had $40 behind him, I'd have made my $5 bet, then I probably would have just bet his whole stack on the turn card, unless it was something really ugly. I know that was a draw heavy board with my aces. All right, King 4. Just gonna back to my strategy. I think this is a new player here, so 47% voluntary put in pot. Very loose player. Most of these people, 54%, very loose. I'd say this is a person who's got the statistics closer to mine. So I'm at 23%, 15% pre-flop raise. So a little bit, just a tad bit looser than me. And I don't really have a whole lot of 600 hands played. So I would bet that, I mean, if this was a different type of game, I'd probably playing a little bit of a different strategy, and maybe I would be re-raising a lot more pre-flop. All right, so this guy riverless 7 on this guy for a 2 pair, but as you can see, people are getting their money in very light in this game. This is just a game where you got to play very patient and find your great risk reward scenarios where you're getting your money in really good. All right, so I've been going on the stream for 25 minutes now. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off, and I'd love to hear any comments about my play, about the game's style, or any feedback at all. Appreciate you watching. If you watch all the way through, I really appreciate it. In the comments, let me know what type of videos, if you like these type of videos, or if you want me to do anything different. I'd be happy to hear any feedback. All right, thank you.